Well, hello and post Merry Christmas, faithful. Hope you had a great Christmas time with family and friends and thinking about things that are other than the 49ers lost season. It has been a rough year and there's been a lot of finger pointing and where does the blame lie for this disappointing season? Well, there's a lot of different answers, and I think a lot of it boils down to that the offense has just not performed the way that we'd hoped they'd perform this year. So we're going to jump to the film from Miami and see, what was it that was going on in Miami that was causing such a lackluster performance. Well, tune in. It's going to be another Hug the Cactus session, but you're watching Johnny Dell's Football Academy. All right, so this is the second drive of the game. The team's starting to move the ball, okay? And we got Debo in the backfield. This hasn't worked out much this year, but we get a good gain here. If you look, Debo's tackled, it's going to be at the 46-yard line. But, and this has been so much of the season, the hidden yards. You end up having a holding penalty on Aaron Banks. And so that pushes the team back to what was they were on Miami side of the 50 at the 46-yard line. Now you are on your own 37-yard line. Okay. And then what happens there? Now this was next a false start that was called on George Kittle. But watch George Kittle, Dominic Puni, and Jalen Moore. We're going to see they all move together. Okay, so I have this from the end zone angle. This to me looks like Jake Brendel forgot the timing of the snap here is that you're going to see these three guys move together. So this is just a microcosm of the offense this year. You're going to see Brock's trying to get the ball off, and you have three guys moving. Everyone else is still. This isn't one player. What is causing this to happen across the board? The ball's not snapped, and you have three players moving with the ball not snapped. And that's why you get a false start penalty. I just can't understand how an offense that has been so predicated and good on the details of things can get so out of sorts so quickly. And you have things like that happen. So you go from 1st and 10 inside Miami's side of the field to now you are at 2nd and 17 from your own 32-yard line. That is a huge swing. That's what takes scoring drives to be negative drives and drives that never score points. So then from there, you get a sack of Brock Purdy. And so we're going to look at this. This is, again, just a team that is, one, suffering from some injuries, but also they're not making life easier for their quarterback. So this is clearly from the pre-snap alignment. Now, the Dolphins did do a good job of showing a lot of man and then running zone, but they're running man here. And we have a zone beater on this side with a little dagger concept coming in with your clearing route and then your Dover or dig route. And then Debo Samuel, this other side is a cover 2 beater or a man beater. This is what you like against a middle field closed man. What you're going to have is Debo's on a corner route, and then George Kittle is on a flat route. So it's a smash concept that this gives you a high-low against a corner in cover 2, and then this also gives you a couple good outbreakers if there's a single safety and you're going to then work away from that help defender to the outside. So Brock's read here is going to be first zone. I'm going to look, maybe single high over here and or quarters over there, and then against cover 2, I'm going to look to the bottom side of the field, or man, single middle field closed man, I'm going to look over here. So that's how he's going to read this out. Well, we see it's man pre-snap. That's most likely what we're getting, and post-snap, that confirms it. Okay, Debo's going to see I got Jalen Ramsey on me. We got a single safety coming to the middle of the field. So Brock wants to work this. When he's takes this snap, he's going to see the safety rotate. He's going to see the safety rotate, and then he's going to look towards a high-low on his outbreakers. Really, you love the corner route. That's where you want to go. But, and this is something Kurt Warner has talked about, the different guys have talked about, when your receiver is going to be running an out-breaking route, why are you releasing and giving up leverage inside? I get it. He's trying to create some space to have an outbreaker, but you are giving up leverage, and this makes it harder for your quarterback. It makes it harder for your quarterback to know, are you going to be open? How long do I have to hold on you to see if you're going to win, because you've come inside, and Jalen Ramsey has outside leverage for an outbreaking route. If Brock throws this ball early and Debo doesn't win, this is looking like a pick, maybe even a pick six. That makes it really hard for your quarterback. And Kurt Warner is also, again, he's talked about this from a quarterback's perspective. If you're running an outbreaker route, you've got to win outside early if I'm going to hang on you. And this is where Brock, I would like to see him peek over here and say outside leverage and move on to Kittle. Say, Debo, if you're going to keep doing that, then I'm not throwing the ball. And the Dolphins are also going to come with a blitz here. They're going to loop around, and Patrick Taylor's going to come and fill this. So both of these guys do not make life easy for their quarterback. So Brock is hanging on Debo. He's trying to see if he wins. So you see Brock is looking, he's reading this way. He sees the middle help safety, so he's immediately moving off of this. This is in his, where he's seeing it, that's not going to be there. So you're going to work to this corner route, but Debo's come inside. Jalen Ramsey has outside leverage. The underneath player squatting on George. If he's going to get that to George, it's got to be right away. So I understand why he's holding on Debo. He's waiting to see, are you going to end up winning outside? But make this read easier for your quarterback. Debo, work inside of Jalen Ramsey, or outside of Jalen Ramsey, and then go. Brock can make that throw. But Brock is looking at it. He's saying, is he going to win? Is he going to win? And by the time there's a stutter and he doesn't win, he's trying to move on to maybe look down here, because these are now taken away. And he's saying, okay, is this going to develop late? Ricky's going to drive this corner or the safety out, and is he going to win late? But by that point, then the pressure is there from your running back not picking up the blitz, and you give up a sack. So a drive, if we just really think back to this is where the 49ers were, and with after 2 penalties and 1 play, they are back here. That is a lot of lost yardage. So it's really hard to watch this team and say, okay, this is a quarterback problem. This is huge lost yardage because guys are not making life easier. Patrick Taylor's going to come up here. He's going to try and pick up the linebacker here and just doesn't do a good job. I mean, now, again, Brock had time to get this ball out when he hits his back foot, but, again, hanging on this, it's not there. It's not there. So guys have got to help their quarterback out a little bit. You know, he's hitting his back foot normally, ball's out, boom. But you can see what Brock's seeing on this end, and he's going to try and work this way. He has nowhere really to escape. They're coming with that 5-man pressure, and it's over. So, you know, just dysfunction in the offense. Things are not working out well. And this is not the way you like to see it. So we're going to keep moving. This is then the next drive. They do score points here, but this is a play. You know, Brock's going to short hop a throw here to Juwan Jennings. And this is one, it was so close. Brock's got to get a little bit more on this. I can understand why he doesn't, but he's got to get a little more on this. He's not the biggest arm quarterback, so he's got to really be able to step into his throws. Juwan Jennings has got to be a little bit crisper at the top of the route, top of the stem, come down and make this catch. But the other thing, again, guys not making it easy for the quarterback. You got Aaron Banks and Jalen Moore over here. They're in pass pro. These guys are just going to get walked right back into Brock's lap. I mean, Aaron Banks is put on skates here. He's just getting driven back. That's why Brock has to work this way. He's not able to set his feet. And again, you know, if Brock has a little bit stronger of an arm, maybe he can make up on this throw. But he's trying to come over, can't fully step into his throw. He's got 2 linemen driven into his lap. And so the ball is a little short hopped. These are things that just make it tough to watch. Either Brock's got to generate a little more power, which I don't know if he has the ability to do that. And I do believe that they're going to think, Brock is the long-term answer at quarterback. Well, if you do that, you gotta get some guys who can anchor on this side and not have players just driven into your quarterback. So I think as they go forward, these are definitely spots, especially left guard is something they really have to look at in the offseason. All right, so the next play we're going to look at something positive. This is a little it's always just kind of fascinating to me to watch how we can call a lot of the same plays many times and they still work. People have been saying Kyle Shanahan needs to maybe reinvent himself this offseason. That he needs to look at who he is as a play caller this offseason and adjust some things. And I don't know if I see that. I don't know if I see that this is a league that is caught up to Kyle Shanahan in any ways. I'm just seeing, there's, as we saw with the last number of things, there's plays that are there to be made. They're not being made. This is a play, again, if you guys have watched this channel, if you're new to the channel, this is something we have run so many times. But anybody who's watched the channel this year has seen this is just a choice concept. We've seen this so many times. We run this play probably at least 3 times a week, every single week. And now they run it with different players and a little bit different formations, but really it comes from a condensed set. You run a corner route and then you run a choice route. So that's what this is. We threw a touchdown to Juwan Jennings on this same concept versus the Bears. We threw a touchdown and ended up going to George Kittle, but it was to Christian McCaffrey was this route. We've thrown this to Debo a number of times. We've thrown this where George is running the choice route. This is one of our most common concepts that we run. We run it so many times every game, and it still works here. So what the Dolphins are doing is they're going to be in man coverage. So you got man coverage here, and then they're going to have 2 inside help safeties. So this is a form of 2-man, but it's not wide 2-man where you'd expect these safeties to get really wide and help over the top. They're going to help short inside of each side. So that's how this is going to go, and this is just the choice concept. So they're showing this pressure look. They're going to back out. And so they're just man across the board with 2 inside help safeties. And you're going to see George, his vertical route is going to create the interference. He's going to come over the top, and that creates the interference for Debo on his choice. That's how he determines if he's going to break in or out. And the safeties have to respect George Kittle a little bit. And so, that play is there. And this is the same exact concept versus the Rams. We ran this play to Debo, and it was going to be a touchdown, and Debo dropped it. He was coming right through here, and he dropped the pass. It was the exact same play. So when people, against the Bears, I put on X that the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan was just using the same plays that he's run all year, and people were like, no. This is what I'm talking about. We've run these plays all year. And this is where, why Debo has been a special receiver is that he's contact by 4 different players and still scores a touchdown. So, does Kyle Shanahan need to reinvent himself? Well, if you got a play that has been working every week for the entire season, I'm saying no. We have a lot of plays that continue to work, and they continue to be set up correctly. And when you have guys, when they execute their assignments and they make their tough yards after the catch, which is what you expect them to do, then that's when things go well. But then on the other side, you have things like this. And this makes me really wonder. So I'll let this play run. What is going on between all the position coaches and between Chris Foerster as offensive coordinator? There's clearly something not together on this. So there's a completely blown assignment here. We're going to run a play action pass. Now, I want to point out in here, George Kittle is going to go out into a route. And so we're going to see that. And he's pretty much taken away, double covered over the top. It's zone coverage. But we're trying to run a play action pass. And we're going to look at this from the end zone, and I'm just going to show why this play doesn't make sense to me. And again, I go, when plays are put together, these different things are all put together by different assistants when it comes to teaching the execution of the individual assignment. So we're trying to run a play action pass where you go hard play action this way. You want this linebacker 6 to step up, and you're going to get Jauan Jennings. He's running a drift route here. So we've run this a lot, and what you want to do is get the linebacker to attack and hit it in this hole. That's where we want to go. Okay. Well, so to sell this run fake, we're going to have the offensive line blocked down like it's this run. And that's how you help sell this. Well, so what do I mean by things just feel disjointed? Okay, so how do you account when you have two guys on the line? One is Eric Saubert supposed to come over and block 91. Now, remember, George Kittle's going to go out on a route, but does he release inside the defensive end? No, he's going to release outside. Okay, so you're releasing outside. Let's clean this up a little bit. You're releasing outside. That's through, if Eric Saubert is supposed to pick up 91, that's through Saubert's blocking angle. So now you've created a crisscross pattern that your guys, it's interference for your own guys. My question just says, okay, if Saubert is supposed to pick up 91, how does he do that? I don't know if he does. I don't think he can. Okay, so Saubert's not going to pick him up, but on the other side, or down here on the tackle, Jalen Moore's got to block down to sell the run fake. So how is he going to block down and then pick up the defensive end? So how are you accounting for this guy? I don't know how you are accounting for that. Again, my mind says, okay, if Saubert's supposed to pick him up, how do you account for Jalen Ramsey if he comes off the edge? Well, Patrick Taylor is going to be alert to that, and he's going to abandon his run fake and go try and pick up Jalen Ramsey. Okay, well then you're losing the run fake to grab this. And so how are you going to get this open? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. If this is on a blitz and you're going to have your running back come pick that up, then why is George Kittle going to be running a deep out route? Shouldn't he then run, be an alert to the flat so that you can immediately capitalize on their outside defender here coming on a blitz? These things just start to feel disjointed, and I don't understand how it all works, how it's all supposed to work together to make sense. Because what ends up happening here is Jalen Moore is going to block down like he's in a run fake. Eric Saubert's going to be alert to Jalen Ramsey and go pick him up. But Patrick Taylor's going to be alert to Jalen Ramsey, and he's going to come try and pick him up and abandon his run fake. So you have two guys blocking Jalen Ramsey off the edge. No one blocks the defensive end. And because now you've got two guys blocking Jalen Ramsey, you have no effect on the linebacker for a route coming right over where he's supposed to be. This just feels very, very disjointed. And you start to wonder, has all of the brain drain and the loss of assistant coaches, is it affecting this stuff? Because this doesn't make sense to me. You can see Eric Saubert started to step inside, and then he sees Ramsey coming, so he's going to go pick him up. Patrick Taylor going to go pick him up. No run fake through this hole where everyone's trying to do it, so the linebacker bails. And so Brock's on a blind play action, and you've now got no one accounting for the defensive end coming off the edge. So Brock's going to turn around, and he's trying to read this, which hasn't been affected because he wants to hit this throw, and he's got a defensive end coming clean at him, and Jalen Moore turning and trying to figure out why he's unblocked. Meanwhile, your running back and tight end are blocking Jalen Ramsey. This is the stuff that just drives you insane. Now, Brock somehow makes this to not be a negative play. He's trying to make something happen. You have guys standing around. This is terrible scramble drill. Now, okay, so we're on a scramble drill. and you got both these guys running to the same area, which happens to be into the same area that George starts running into. This is not a scramble drill. When you have 3 guys right in the same area, one of these guys is supposed to run vertical. Just run down the field. Somebody's supposed to run down the field. So the only person Brock can find is Debo on the other side, and he's trying to make a throw rolling the opposite way. You got to make life easier for your quarterback. That stuff is really hard to watch and just be okay with and say, okay, how does the plays that we're running and they get open and they do that, and then you have something like that where there's just so many pieces. And I get it, these are all backups playing, but how do they seem so unprepared? I think there's going to be a deep look at the coaching staff this offseason. There's something going on in the building that just doesn't make sense to me. So you have that, and then you're at 3rd and 9. Okay. And then again, everybody moves but your center. So you get another false start penalty. We're going to watch this. This was a play they called a false start. They said everybody moved but the center. And you're going to see it from here. So now 3rd and 9 becomes 3rd and 14. Because Brock's trying to get a snap off because they're running out of time. And everybody moves, but your center doesn't snap the ball. There's not a lot to say about that. 3rd and 9 becomes 3rd and 14, and then you can't convert. It's just when this offense starts to look really bad, they start to look really bad. And then you have this play that the play's there. Your right tackle can't hold up. So we start out with Patrick Taylor out wide. We then shift Ricky out, bring Taylor inside. Starting out with Taylor out wide and Jalen Ramsey on him is going to reveal then that this is zone coverage. So this looks like it could be a man alignment, but we saw on the other side this looks like zone. And the key is that you did it to the 2 receiver side. What teams do when they run combo of man and zone, they will usually do man on the backside and zone on the 3 receiver side. So the fact that they're zoned up on the 2 receiver side means you are going to get zone on the 3 receiver side. So that tells you it's zone. So what we have here is we're going to run Juwan Jennings on an inside release and a route to run down the back of the end zone, the back end line of the end zone, and then we're going to run a little stick concept here. So you're going to run Debo out into the flat, and then you're going to run George Kittle on a stick route. So he's going to sit this down if it's zone, and he's going to work away into avoided areas. So he's going to try and sit this down in between zones. We've already seen that it's a zone check. We saw it on that side, so George Kittle could look over here and see as well. Those zone checks aren't just for your quarterback. So what Brock's going to do is he's first got to check, is this quarters coverage or 2 zones? So you got 2 safeties out here. What you're going to see is how does the outside corner play this inside release? Because if it's an inside release and this is quarters coverage, this corner has to bail and pick this up for a potential corner route. So you would expect that this would get doubled as Juwan releases up, and then he's going to run down the back line. So if that corner bails, you've got Debo quick to the outside, and from there, then you have an outside in read. This is going to go 1 to 2 to 3. And so if that corner squats, then you read this player. If he comes in, then you look to come back here over the middle. That's where the read's going to be for Brock. That's how it's set up. Is we're going to go outside in, 1 to 2 to 3. So Brock takes a snap. Where does he look first? He's looking out here. He's reading that corner. All right. He first kind of sees maybe he's taking off with Juwan. You can see he starts to kind of get ready to throw. He's squatted. We've got this over here. So that tells him, boom, one's covered, boom, move to two. Two's going to be right here. And George is one. You got it. It's there. Ball's batted down. George is wide open for a touchdown. It's another one that's just hard. This ends up being 3 points instead of 7 because Chop Robinson is going to come over here and just drive Colton McKivitz right into Brock Purdy, and a touchdown's off the board. So it's hard to watch this now. You've seen multiple points taken off the board, and the offense just looks like it's really struggling. Okay, so then you have a play where you're starting to move the ball. You're getting down into the red zone. You don't have a great run here, but you know what? You're keeping on schedule. You're going to get a few yards. You're inside the 20. You're looking like you might be able to go in and score, but you get a penalty. And these things will just drive you nuts. And look, I get Pearsall's missed a lot of time, but this is not missed time stuff. You're playing the flanker here. You're the Z. So you're on the same side as the tight end. And he's looking down the line here, and he's got to see George is right there. And he's on the line. The rules state that you can only have 3 men on the line on each side of the ball. So you have 1, 2, 3. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you have an illegal formation because you have 7 men on the line of scrimmage, and you can't have that. You're looking down the ball. You got to see George is on the line. You got to be back here. You got to be off the line. Either that or George does. Pretty sure it's going to be Ricky. He's got to be off the line here. You're sending Deebo Samuel in motion. This is not for anything other than trying to move a mic. That's all that's for. And this is high school stuff. You're on the line, and there's the yellow laundry flag. Okay. So then you're trying to make up for it. We're going to run another play here. And this is going to show how the team is just missing Christian McCaffrey and the attention. It seems like this offense has a lot less space than they did years prior. And well, why? Because you just don't have the dogs that you had before to draw actual attention. So we're going to bring Ricky Pearsall in motion here. And the Dolphins are running cover 4. So they're running quarters, 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 quarters. Okay. And then you got 3 underneath. So you got underneath, underneath, and underneath. And this guy, the mic, and let me not draw it like that. Okay, so we're going to do it like this. This is the mic. He's what we call the 3 receiver hook. Okay, so the 3 receiver hook. So he shades. His assignment is to shade towards the 3 receiver side in quarters. Why? That way you have 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders over 3 receivers. You're going to remember Pearsall's going to come this way. So you keep 4 over 3, and on the backside you have 3 over 2. So that keeps a +1 on each side. And we used to see teams anytime this would happen, this would go to the strength. The mic in quarters would always shade towards that side. Why? Because you had Christian McCaffrey out here. And what they weren't going to allow was just the team to do something like this. Even come up and run a little kick out block and block here. Because then that meant that your safety was going to be one-on-one with Christian McCaffrey out here. And nobody did that. Sometimes what we'd even do is we would say, okay, go pick up the safety, and the motion guy was coming kicking out, and that meant that this linebacker was going to be one-on-one with Christian McCaffrey out here in speed. And so many teams did not want that matchup. So when a team would be in quarters, that mic would fly out here when we had Christian McCaffrey. So what we're doing on the backside, so if you remember I talked about the choice concept, we're running that on the backside. You got Deebo Samuel on the corner route, and you got George Kittle on the choice route. And much like we saw, this is going to be open. You're going to have a quarters defense where these two guys bail with Debo, and then you're going to have the outside curl flat guy come out, and that should give you a lane right through here. This is the exact same defense that the Bears played on Juwan Jennings' touchdown that was against the Bears, where Juwan caught it over the middle. That was a choice concept. Well, now you're running that choice concept, and you can't move this Mike. This Mike has zero respect for our running back. And so we're going to see that here, that take the snap. Brock tries to look him off, and this guy's having none of it. He's not scared about this at all. No respect for it. So Brock was trying to look him off and get him to move, and he just stands pat, and then he's going to follow his eyes. But you see, you got these guys bailing out on the corner route, outside leverage from that player on George Kittle coming over the middle. You should be having this guy come this way, George to be able to catch this, and then come up through the seam and split this, just like Juwan Jennings did. You should be able to do that. But you got no threat from your running back, and as Brock looks that direction, you're going to see the Mike jumps it. So no concern that way. Now he's coming. And so Brock has to pull it down. And the pressure's getting to him. And now he's got to go try and make a play. But you're seeing how these are the downstream effects when people just say, well, he's still got George Kittle, and he's still got Deebo Samuel, he's still got Juwan Jennings. Well, you're now having less space in the passing game because you're on your fifth-string running back. We saw it with our fourth-string running back that teams were at least willing to respect Isaac Orendo's speed that he could have out there. With Jordan Mason, teams were at least willing to respect some things, and they're just not doing that now. Well, okay, so they run quarters coverage again, and we actually were still able to overcome this. Brock, avoided the big negative play before, and so he's able to win on this throw. The Dolphins are running quarters again, and we're going to run a little corner route here. Debo on this route. We're going to come over. Pearsall's running a little choice out China, and so Brock's going to look this Mike off this way. He says, all right, you're going to follow my eyes. I'm going to look you off this way, and I'm going to open this route up over the middle. Really good work here by Brock to move the Mike just enough. And then you see what Debo can do. Keeps his balance, his hit at the 10, and he's not down till the 2-yard line. You're ready to go. 1st and goal from the 2. But you got Ricky Pearsall out here. Is going to line up here. Juwan Jennings comes up. Okay, he's clearly behind the 20. He's the off man. Ricky Pearsall, you're looking down the line. How many guys got to be on the line of scrimmage? 3 guys got to be on the line of scrimmage. You've got to be even. Your head has to be even with the belt buckle of the center. And so you are about 1.5 feet short of that. The side judge is trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. He's looking down here, trying to see, is he close enough? And he's not. He's just not on the line. And you've got to be on the line now. Last play, you were on the line and you shouldn't have been, and you got a penalty. Now you're supposed to be on the line and you aren't. And so all this great work by your quarterback, there's the flag. So you had 1st and goal from the 2, is now 3rd and 13. You're backed up. So now you have a backup left tackle. Really, your backup to your backle? Your backup to your backle. Backle is a new term for a backup tackle. The backup to your backup tackle is in, and this is just not understanding the scheme of the pass protection because he's been playing guard. He hasn't been playing tackle and understanding, okay, how does all these. Shanahan's going to say we need time here. So we're going to end up chip with juice and then release. And George Kittle's going to chip and release. And so early on in this play, you're only going to have 3 guys into the pattern against cover 4. But you're trying to buy yourself some time to get this. And Brock gets pressured at 2 seconds. how do you give up pressure at 2 seconds? Because, again, you only got 3 guys in the pattern, so this is what Brock's looking at. 7 defenders deep against 3 receivers. That's nobody's open, okay? Nobody is open here. So you expect this to develop, but you have no time for it to develop and at least get to a check down. So what happens here? Well, you got a wide 9 out here with the defensive end, and Juice is going to come up and chip and then release. So Spencer Burford, you don't have to do a real wide kick step. You just short set and anchor, because you don't have to worry about this speed rush off the edge. Juice is going to come up and hit this guy, and you short set and then you grab and you've won. Okay, this is as easy as it gets for a tackle. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easy as it gets. But he just clearly does not understand that there's a chip and release on his side and how that changes his set. So he's kicking really wide right from the snap. He should be coming back and anchoring and closing this gap between him and Aaron Banks, but he doesn't. And so he's so wide. Juice is expecting him to be shorter and come up and help, but he's gotten so wide. Now these guys are bumping into each other, and you've given up the inside path really easily, quickly. And so now your quarterback's flushed. He's rolling to his left away from his throwing arm, and this is what happens. So now, again, the attrition is really starting to impact how things are. It looks so disjointed, and there's no time, and you can't make up for it. So it's just no gain, and you can see on the sideline, you can see the 49ers sideline just frustrated here. We're gonna see right here. Watch this. Oh, they're just frustrated. Like, you're supposed to have better coordination there between the two. So it's just not happening. Very frustrating, extremely frustrating to see this kind of stuff. So then the next drive, it's 3rd and 4. You're in your own territory. It's 17-19. You're trying to keep the ball moving. So Brock's going to end up checking the play here. This isn't an audible. It's a can call. So the reason why is they have a zone beater dialed up, and the Dolphins are showing man coverage out. They're showing man, and then they end up they move Taylor out here, and you see Jalen Ramsey on him, and they say, okay, they're actually coming with zone. So we're going to can this out of here. So you're going to see Brock do that. Hey, he saw Jalen Ramsey there, and he can. They're bluffing that they're in man. So now these guys widen a little bit because they're going to end up trying to give themselves more room here. But they're trying to work a little concept here. This is a pull concept. So you're going to sit, work out, and then on the backside you're going to have George is going to come. He's going to run a little stick route. He's going to sit down between the zones, and then he's going to work to find space. And you have Patrick Taylor's going to check, and you need him to work with some urgency out. Why? Okay, because you're trying to beat cover 2 zone here. So you've got Debo is a high-low here so that you can work the inside breaker. And the idea is then if this guy is going to work back underneath, then you have to have an ability to put Jalen Ramsey here. Let's do this in red so we can see it a little bit better. Jalen Ramsey here in conflict. You got to stretch him. You just need 4 yards. So you need to get him in a horizontal stretch here. So you're going to try and work this underneath. So you got to sell this down the seam a little bit better on the vertical with Juwan Jennings. He's not going to sell it really great. And so this Mike ends up picking him up a little easier, because you want to work this underneath, because essentially Tampa 2 is a 3 deep. You're going to have deep down the middle and then deep down the sidelines. So you want to work this as a triangle stretch here, here, here. Okay, and then if they roll, you still have a triangle stretch. We're going to move this over here to where you're going to have this, so that you will still have a stretch at least a 3-on-2. Okay? I know that's more of a line, but the idea is that you will still end up putting 3-on-2. However they're going to do this, you want to get 3-on-2 versus these two guys, or 3-on-2 versus these two guys. And we are just slow with Patrick Taylor on this chip and release. So watch Patrick Taylor on this chip and release. He's going to step up. You can't be indecisive. Okay? Watch him here as he's going to step up. Do I need to help? No, I go. Okay, whatever you got to do, you need to be decisive. Either you give your quarterback more time or you get out into the pattern. You don't get indecisive because this is very timing based. He's going to come up, and then he heads out really flat. Okay, because you got indecisive, he should be out here by now. Okay, he should be out here and moving and pull Jalen Ramsey. If he's able to do that, then George Kittle's going to be open here. This is what we mean by timing, is that the timing just isn't there and everything's a little bit off. If Jalen Ramsey doesn't respect you and he stays in here on George as George starts working his way back inside, because Brock Purdy's looking that guy off. He's really reading, but it's going to move this guy a little bit. And so if Jalen Ramsey follows George Kittle, if you as a running back are here and moving out, when Brock goes to check this down to you, you're going to catch it out here and be able to run up the sideline and you get a first down. But you're late out into the flat. You're too shallow, so you've created way too much space to go. Brock wants to get you this ball. He's right here. He's going to end up catching it right about there, okay? Right about the numbers. Where they want this ball to be caught is more right about here at the 35 on the move closer to the sideline. Again, so that you are now only one-on-one with Jalen Ramsey to go get this first down. Because Brock's coming up. Jalen has sat on George, so you want to then work this. But you're just too inside. So now Brock gets it out there. And now he's got to beat two guys. Because you're too far inside. Again, they want him out here and moving it. It also then delays the ball coming out because it doesn't give your quarterback as defined a read. And I don't like stopping your feet there. It's 3rd and 4, and you can't be indecisive. You got to check and then go and get some urgency to the line of scrimmage. And don't stop your feet. Run over Jalen Ramsey. That's what Deebo Samuel did. But instead he tries to juke him, stop his feet, and you're stopped just short. This is, again, the stuff that is now coming back. And so I talked about this play on my podcast. This is Brock Purdy's interception. So we're going to end up motioning Deebo inside. The Dolphins are doing a great job. They're showing man coverage here. Across the board, single safety. We're going to bring Deebo in. We're going to motion him in. We're running a little dagger concept, so Deebo's going to run down the field, and then you're going to run Juwan Jennings on a Dover route. So the Dover route, it's not a square in. It's a rolling break or a speed cut. So it's going to break and then roll 5 yards deeper. So the coaching point on these is that it breaks at 15, rolls to 20. So the 20-yard line, if we're at the our side of the 47, then that's going to be at the 33. So that's way out here. So this throw should happen between the 35 and the 33 in this sort of area. So let's just remember that. And right at the snap, we're going to see the Dolphins back out. Now, they did a good job of disguising this. They're backing out into Tampa. So there's Tampa. We got a middle defender. Now, a dagger should work great on this. We should be able to run Deebo down. The Mike, match this. And you're going to get Juwan Jennings come break in the middle of that voided zone. So, this is what Brock's seeing, okay? So I've had some people say that the corner or the nickel gained too much depth. I can see where people say that. and I'm not going to say they're necessarily wrong. I just disagree. How I see this is that this route is going to roll because it's supposed to, and you're going to have this clear out. And I just don't think, because Juwan is a good 3 yards behind the nickel who's flat-footed, I don't think that guy's going to be able to turn and go get that ball. And we've seen, and Juwan Jennings is a really tall guy, so I think Brock's going to be able to layer this ball over to a really high point of Juwan Jennings. And so I think that throws there. You can see this is the point. The ball is in the air. That I don't think this corner, this nickel, can come and get that ball, turn, and get it if it's going to go there. I think that's where the throw ends up. It may end up, closer to the seam, but still, I don't think this guy can get depth quickly enough to that point, being flat-footed. And again, Juwan is a tall guy. We've seen Brock make that throw, and so he's making a diving catch at the 40. And again, what did I say about the coaching point? This route should be coming down to at least the 35. Really, it's going to be down here at the 33 is where they're trying to hit this throw. So I don't think that guy can get there. Remember, he just is able to cover 5 yards. He would have to cover another 5 yards to get to where the ball Brock wants to put that ball. So I just don't think he can get there. Now, people will disagree with me. I can understand why, seeing it from the end zone angle. I just think we've seen Brock make those layered throws, and Juwan has enough separation behind a flat-footed corner that he makes his throw. So we're going to look at the protection issue from the end zone. So we're running a 3-2 slide. So we're going to kick out, kick out, kick out. And so with that being, there's a 2-eye here. This is Nick Zakelj. He's got to pick him up. If this guy comes inside, he's got to carry him inside, though, but then be alert to a stunt. So you carry him inside and try and not let him get vertical, protect your center side, and then be alert to a stunt. You've got to keep eyes on there because very few teams are just going to run this guy inside and run, this. Like very few teams are going to do that because you're going to end up creating a huge lane for a quarterback to escape through. So they want to fill every lane. They want to keep this in a sensible area. They're not going to run these in, and then create a big lane here, especially for a Brock Purdy. So you got to be alert to that. I know this is hard to do in real time, but once this guy slants inside, Zakelj, you got to push him in, alert Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel's got to be a little bit more alert. He's got to have his arm out here to see this and help pick this up. But they don't pick it up. This happens, and then he's completely unalert to this stunt. Again, teams don't run this where this is inside because you don't give a quarterback that lane to run through. That would be terrible lane integrity by the defense. And so Nick Zakelj is just completely unaware of the twist here. And by the time he's aware of it, you got Calais Campbell is completely creaming Brock Purdy, and that's what affects the throw. That's what makes I think the throw was there, but the protection just did not hold up. And so you're seeing there's so many little things here that are out of sync with the offense. It's guys not lining up correctly. It's offensive line not picking up protections. It's guys not understanding their techniques in their protections. It's lots of little issues and not having as much space. So because you don't have as much space without guys that are drawing more attention, your margin of error is a lot smaller. And so that's why the offenses look the way it has this year. Do I think Kyle Shanahan needs to go reinvent himself? I don't. I think that the plays are there to be made. I think that there's been more than enough opportunities to score a lot of points this year, and they haven't. Now, Does he need to really look at some of the coaching staff? I think he does. I think he needs to reevaluate who's doing what on the coaching staff and who's running the offensive line and who's running all these different things. So I think they do need to really reevaluate that and reevaluate how are they coaching, how are they going about this business, because this level of play that is such a drop off from your premier players is shocking. Now, we've talked about the 49ers being a top heavy team for a long time, that when you invest a lot of money into top end talent and then that top end talent is gone, you just don't have as much to invest in the guys behind them. And that's really what we're seeing, is that this looks like a top heavy team that lost the top. And so the fall off from starter to backup has been pretty dramatic in a number of ways. And then you have two starters in Aaron Banks and Jake Brendel that I've shown much of the year just greatly underperforming. I think they really need to go into this offseason and look to address the center position. They have not had a premier center since Weston Richburg. Alex Mack was at the end of his career, and he was a mid-tier center by that point, and the 49ers still had one of the most explosive offenses in the league that year because they had quality center play. And so we're just missing that. But overall, do I think Kyle Shanahan needs to reinvent himself? I don't think he does. I think that the plays are there, and the team has just really been underperforming. But we'll see how they do against the NFC favorite Lions on Monday Night Football. We'll take a look at the film of that, and I think that'll be a great game to look at and say, okay, let's compare the Ben Johnson, Kyle Shanahan thing. A lot of people want to compare that, so we'll take a look at that. It'll be some really interesting film to watch. But until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Niners.